An afternoon thunderstorm left a rainbow over uptown Charlotte Monday, but the Democratic National Convention is sure to bring more storms of its own. As Democrats gather to celebrate Barack Obama, the political gamesmanship is underway, especially as both parties battle for this battleground state. Civil rights leader Jesse Jackson told us Republicans are trying to drive fear rather than hope.
They don't have a plan to make student loans more accessible to students. They don't have a plan for reindustrialization. They don't have a plan to stop banks from ripping people off in home foreclosure. They don't have a better foreign policy plan to make us more secure. And so they are speculating, and President Barack Obama is delivering.
Meanwhile, Republicans who have set up shop at the NASCAR Hall of Fame just blocks from the convention say it's the other way around.
I think here as we look at what's going forward in Charlotte, it's going to be fascinating to see what the Democrats actually talk about, because I think they're going to have an exceptionally hard time talking about their record.
That's the basis of how the GOP promises to outmaneuver Democrats during the convention and all fall long to take back the Tar Heel state.
As far as this premise that they've got a better ground game, I don't buy it at all. I've seen it in action, and we have a better ground operation. We're going to beat them here.
Regardless of the outcome, the convention is the jumping-off point and momentum builder for candidates at all levels. Deb Butler is challenging Tom Goolsbee for his state Senate seat in New Hanover County. This week, she'll talk to various caucus groups of the DNC, then head back to the home stretch of the campaign.
Well, the campaign has been long and arduous, as you know, and it continues for the next couple of months. But this will give me renewed enthusiasm and energy to finish it strong, and so we're all very excited about that.
In Charlotte, Kevin Wizzardo, WWAY News Channel 3.
And I'm Khaki Catlett, live from the DNC in Charlotte at the Time Warner Cable Arena. The crowd here is pumped up and unified in their belief that the president deserves 4 more years in office. Joining me now is our political editor, Kevin Wizzardo. And Kevin, this isn't just about President Obama. It's also about some of our local candidates who are pushing for their own campaign.
Yeah, like Congressman Mike McIntyre. And anyone who's ever met Congressman McIntyre knows he's a very mild-mannered, easygoing guy, but he's facing what is certainly his biggest test since taking office back in 1996, and this week he's showing a level of emotion we've never seen before.
Well, it's because the only reason I run for this job is to help people back home. I'm not independently wealthy. My wife and I were praying and looking at the precincts to see if this was even winnable. It was so predetermined the way they drew it.
Mike McIntyre says the 7th District is winnable, but he knows it will be a challenge to beat Republican State Senator David Rouzer. Republicans in the state legislature redrew the district to include Rouzer's Johnston County. They also cut Wilmington in half and moved McIntyre's Lumberton home out. He clearly takes it personally, and he says if he loses, so does North Carolina.
The fact is, we have a chance to move up to the number 2 ranking position on agriculture, the number 3 ranking position on armed services in this race. If my opponent wins, we go to dead last, if he even serves on those committees.
McIntyre hopes voters will focus on his record of service. The Blue Dog Democrat says it speaks for itself and his political independence.
And y'all are going to hear a lot of rhetoric with all these negative ads getting ready to come out. Oh, he must be like this person or that person. People know that Mike McIntyre votes on the issues. If not, go look at the groups in Washington who judge your voting. They don't give a flip about rhetoric.
Well, we also asked the Rouzer campaign for a response to Congressman McIntyre. Jessica Wood, a spokeswoman, said Mike McIntyre said yesterday that families in southeastern North Carolina are better off today than they were 4 years ago. He voted for Nancy Pelosi 4 times, and while she was Speaker of the House, he voted with her more than 90% of the time. No wonder he's trying to change the subject. This, again, was a very different Mike McIntyre than we're used to seeing, Khaki. Very emotional, and he was asked, too, why he won't come out and say he supports the president or some of the other top Democrats. He says he doesn't get involved in other people's elections, and it just shows how independent he is.
I caught up with some of our 7th District leaders who told me they are excited and ready to get to work for our congressional district. The Queen City is buzzing with delegates from across the country as the first day of the DNC is now underway. Our representatives from the 7th District say it's their responsibility to get local voters on board with the Democratic plan.
It's very important that we energize the voters, that we register voters, and that we get people out to the polls in November to vote.
This is a starkly different experience this presidential election for Elizabeth Redenbaugh of New Hanover County. Just this year, during her run for the school board, she switched political parties.
It's been a wonderful experience. I'm very excited. I have been embraced with open arms, which has just been a pleasure for me.
Another 7th District delegate, Tom Simmons of Brunswick County, says his passion for the Democratic ticket stems from his struggle as a young boy.
As a third grader, I was living on the streets in Wilmington, and because of having the opportunity to go to Boys and Girls Home at Lake Waccamaw, I got off the streets, got a college education, and am here making history.
Both Simmons and Redenbaugh say North Carolina's status as a battleground state is fueling their passion to get people to the polls.
We're a swing state, and this state might play a very crucial role in the presidential election.
And I'm joined now by our political editor, Kevin Wizzardo, who we just heard from some local leaders who are still on the president's plan. We have a dismal economy at this point. Our unemployment rate in the state of North Carolina is 9.6%. How do we get North Carolinians on board with the president's plan?
Well, that's the Democrats' goal right now. The Republican Party came out firing in the last week or so after their convention about, are we better off than we were 4 years ago? The Republicans say no. The Democrats actually said no Sunday, then changed that message yesterday to yes. But they're getting pretty excited right behind us. Cory Booker, the mayor of Newark, who a lot of people think may be the Democratic nominee in 4 years, is speaking right now, and you can hear he's got the crowd in a furor.
Looking back 4 years ago, our state, it was just a matter of 14,000 votes or more that went for President Obama. This election season, what do you think is going to happen come November?
I think it could be very similar to that. I mean, right now it's all about the ground war. Both parties say they are ready, they are going to be out in force, and they both claim they're going to win. Only one can, though, and it could really be the difference in this election on a national level.
And today, all the buzz has been about the change that will happen tomorrow for the president's speech. I'm joined by political editor Kevin Wizzardo. And Kevin, you've been able to get reaction from people around here that some people say it's disappointing, some say it's a good thing.
Yeah, I talked to one veteran reporter who said it's definitely the right decision message-wise. I talked to a famous face who has a special message for at least for our favorite meteorologist.
Hello, Jerry. Nice weather.
Actor Wayne Knight is at the DNC lobbying for the arts, but the University of Georgia alum doesn't know what all the fuss is about over the threat of southern storms.
Everyone is so frightened of this. These storms come, they go. I think the problem was that last night the storm came and stayed. So it's a big spooker, you know, but I hope we can squeeze all the people in here, and I hope I'm one of them.
But the Carolina climate has been a challenge for some out-of-towners.
From North Dakota, this is pretty humid. The rain is almost every day, they say, so it could be the safety of the people. You know, we don't want to be sitting in rain because that would be terrible.
Lieutenant Governor Walter Dalton says the thousands of North Carolinians who won't get to attend the speech after all may still get another chance.
I do understand that the president has said he will come back to North Carolina and do an event so those people will have that experience in some fashion. So I commend him for that.
ABC's Sam Donaldson has covered his fair share of conventions. He says the decision to move the president's speech inside is a good one.
Can you imagine if the heavens opened up, lightning flashes, 65,000 people running for the exit? What kind of picture would that be? Reminds me of being tear gassed in Chicago in 1968. So I think they had to do it.
Of course, Republicans seizing on the chance to use this as a criticism of the Democratic Party. They say it's not so much about Mother Nature, but about not being able to fill seats in that big stadium. Another funny story from Sam Donaldson, he said maybe this is God's way of saying he doesn't like the Democratic Party. He said, you know, he took that hurricane, steered it past Tampa during the RNC drove it right into New Orleans and spun it all the way back around so the remnants would get here during the DNC. He was, of course, just kidding.
Just kidding. A lot of perspectives on the decision here. Folks at home that we talked to there in Wilmington were excited to get here. The perspective from them is they're just disappointed. They wanted to be here, rain or shine. 4 hours away from the moment that everyone has been anticipating here, the president's acceptance speech. Earlier today, we were at the convention center and caught up with a local delegate there and several others who say they are just thrilled to be a part of the moment and the speech that many are calling his most important speech yet.
We simply cannot afford to give the reins of government to someone who will double down on trickle down.
A new exuberance is in the air here in Charlotte after former President Bill Clinton's gift for rhetoric fired up the crowd Wednesday night. But tonight, it's all about the president. Before heading to the Time Warner Cable Arena, folks filed into the nearby convention center, filling up on coffee and Obama-plastered flair, all in anticipation of what they say will be the home run of this political ball game.
And I'm confident that he's going to build an extraordinary case for support for his re-election.
Our own 7th District delegate, Elizabeth Redenbaugh, says the week has been one she will never forget.
It's been incredibly exciting. It's been a tremendous learning experience, having the opportunity to attend so many different seminars and panel discussions and hearing basically from political rock stars.
And although he's not yet of voting age, even 12-year-old Roderick Ewell is looking forward to taking his seat in the massive arena.
I'm so excited that I just can't really wait anymore.
Well, as we just saw, many people excited, just pumped up for the speech tonight. There have been a lot of candidates take to the podium here, but there are some that actually we won't hear from.
That's right. The events this afternoon started with everybody from North Carolina, Senator Kay Hagan, Lieutenant Governor Walter Dalton, and some of the congressional candidates. Mike McIntyre not part of that group, most likely because he won't get up there and say, vote for Barack Obama. He's told us here today he will not endorse anybody. He stays out of other people's races. So that's kind of significance. Congressman John Lewis from Georgia right now has everybody fired up, talking about how we've moved on from the civil rights era into where we are now. So that's kind of the theme. It's going to be building throughout the evening.
We heard a speech, of course, that everyone's talking about today from Bill Clinton, a strong performance from him. We also hear that Gabby Giffords will possibly take to the podium. How important is it to have superstar people like this take to the podium and really build up what Obama is pushing for?
It's just like going to a concert. You want a good opening act to get everybody warmed up and get everybody going. You don't want people falling asleep, which is kind of happening now as people are kind of hanging out filling these seats. So it'll be a big program, and it'll cap off with the president, and we'll have a recap tonight.
The president just left the stage minutes ago. A very different feel this time around. He expressed that this is more of a marathon rather than a sprint. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, I thought you made a good point. At one point, you turned to me and said, 4 years ago it was hope and change. Now it's hope and don't change. And that's kind of what the folks we've talked to this week said. The question for the Democrats is, will you let us keep going and finish what we started? I noticed something very significant, though, in the speeches tonight. Barack Obama has been criticized for saying it's everybody else's fault. It was George W. Bush's fault. He did not talk about that tonight. Everybody else did. He talked about what he's done moving forward. So that's a very important theme. If all you watch is the president's speech, you hear a very positive message of what's ahead. If you listen to some of the others, you hear some of the blame, some of the setup. But that was a very interesting dynamic to me.
He also talked about some of the things that he has accomplished, the death of bin Laden, the reinvigorating of the auto industry, different things that he says that he was able to accomplish, the promises that he made to the American people.
Yeah, but of course that's what these speeches are all about. It's the same thing as happens in the other convention. And everybody comes out of here very enthused about it. But it's not about the people in this hall. That's the big thing to remember. He has 15 to 20,000 votes in this building. It's the 25 million people at home that are independent or unaffiliated or undecided voters. That's who he's trying to reach. That's who Mitt Romney's trying to reach.
Well, it's certainly that speech resonated with the people here, a very bipartisan group. What's yet to be seen is if it will resonate with the American people at home.
Exactly, and that's what we have to find out. The question that the Republicans laid down last week, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? If the answer is yes, then maybe you stick with the Democrats. If the answer is no, maybe go with the Republicans. Or, again, what the Democrats want you to do is say, we'll give you more time. It really was that bad. Bill Clinton said no president could have cleaned that up. That's what the voters have to decide. Is that true, or is it time to give somebody else, in this case Mitt Romney, a chance over Barack Obama?
Well, coming into tonight, the most recent poll has Mitt Romney and President Obama in a dead heat, essentially. We'll have to see if this will give him the boost that he really needs.
And that's the big thing in a lot of the toss-up states, a lot of the battleground states, including North Carolina. There is no winner to predict right now. Will he get a bump? Yeah, probably will. It was a good speech tonight. He wasn't overshadowed by Bill Clinton. I thought Joe Biden's speech was very powerful and was really beyond the expectations people had from him. It didn't really energize, but it got a very good point across. He was the man who attacked, and then Barack Obama came out and made his message heard.
Well, you mentioned North Carolina, and speaking about our state delegates, they had a front row seat. Let's just say they probably enjoyed being down there. We didn't have balloons tonight because we weren't in the stadium, but we did have the confetti.